Salute, 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 and welcome, Black family. Welcome back over here to the Black Ocean, and you're now swimming in the deep end with your host, the one and only Great Black Shark. Welcome back over here, family, and yes, we have to cover this recent revelation that the brother Sarah Garvey has come forth to reveal, because there's a few lessons in it that I know that everybody can benefit from, because I'm going to point a couple of things out, and I don't know if any of you have saw that yet, but we're going to be reviewing that over here today. And like I said, I want to not only instruct him on what he should do next, because just like we told you, when you press these white supremacists, especially the women, and you come out and expose them like the snakes they are, they get vindictive and venomous. Okay, so I don't know if you all know, but if you go over to the brother's channel, let me show you what old Pearly has done, okay? Let me show you what Pearly has done. Here, I can direct your attention to the screen here, ladies and gentlemen. She has gone over and filed false, because I'm going to explain why they're false copyright strikes on the brother's channel. Now, Sarah Garvey, he's over there in the UK, and he was working with Pearl, and what we're going to review here tonight is going to be a lesson about why particularly continental Africans and Caribbeans, you should not trust these damn pale-faced demons that we've been telling you about. We've been telling you over and over again that this is what they do, but we'll get into that a little bit later here tonight. So let me go ahead and direct your attention back to the screen. This is on his community tab. This is where I got the screenshot. And like, she just went on a copyright strike spree, okay? And the reason why it's fraudulent, she struck content that he was in on her channel, okay? He was giving commentary on it. Now, for those of you that don't know how this works, and if you're a particular new content creator or you're thinking about it, let me explain something to you about content on YouTube, okay? If you are reviewing anybody's content and you're adding commentary to it, or you add your own effects to it, or you change the content in some way, you have the right to review that, okay? You have the right to review that. Now, where you go wrong at is if you just put up somebody's content, you don't add no commentary to it whatsoever. Now, if they chose to, they can strike you for that. That would be well within violating, a copyright. It doesn't fall under fair use then. But now, if you're giving commentary on it, it does. Okay. So now, let me show you what else old Pearly did. Let me move this up. I want y'all. This is the other thing she did. I'm just showing you a list. She just went down the list, just striking stuff. Things that he was in now, okay? Because you're going to hear that here a little bit later. Sarah Garvey, let me explain something to you and everybody, okay? What you're going to have to do is file a counterclaim and see. You would have to check over there to see how fair use works in the UK. I know they have it, but I'm not sure if it's exactly the same as here. It probably is, but YouTube is a United States company, okay? So now, if anybody tries to pull this with you and you're within the boundaries that I just explained about copyright and fair use earlier, then you can counterclaim them, and that way, if they really want to dispute it, they're gonna have to take you to court, okay? And see, here's another thing too. Since what this Lice Spice did, since she don't like Miss Ann, she's Lice Spice. What she did, this is a false copyright claim. She knows that too. So I'm going to tell you something, brother Sarah Garvey, and yes, and as I've said, I've taken issue with things that the brother has said in the past about our lineage, but see, there's a time where you have to put things to the side to teach on a bigger level, so everybody gets the big picture. Sarah Garvey and any other content creator, if somebody tries to do that to you, especially if you got your money right, because people have tried it with me and they learned the hard way. Here's the deal. You get you a copyright attorney, and you hit their ass up. And see, YouTube will take your channel for filing false copyright strikes, okay? So he can flip this back around on her, because from what I've seen, the stuff that she struck, he's well within his rights to use that. She has no right to strike his channel or take him down just because she don't like what he said, which we're going to review that here, because that's where the main lesson is going to be here tonight. So Sarah Garvey, brother, go get yourself a copyright attorney and go ahead and deal with that. Because see, here's the thing I want to tell everybody. Now, as foundational Black Americans, most of us know this, but I'm gonna give y'all some game here that especially young people need to pay attention to. When you go after the head of a snake, like Lice Spice, Miss Ann, aka Pearly, when you go after the head of a snake, you don't strike until you have all your affairs in order. You understand? I'm gonna say it again. When you go after a snake, you do not strike unless you have all your affairs in order. Okay. So, Brother Sarah and anybody else, the next time that you are going to make a move like this, you need to do it in a strategic manner. You need to have all your ducks in a row. What I would have done, if I knew I was going to do this, I would have already had my copyright attorney on deck. I would have been anticipating a move. See, I'm going to tell you something about your brother. You know, my father and my grandfathers taught me how to think strategically at a very, very young age. I was a lot different from most other children. Okay, I really was. And it's like things like this is like I'm already 12 steps ahead of you. I'm like, yeah, I was waiting on you to do that. And then I've got moves prepared for when you try to do that. See, the power of the human mind is something that you should never underestimate. This is why I always tell you all over here, just as you are what you eat, you are what you think. Okay. So Sarah Garvey, next time, brother, you need to have your ducks in order, but you can still do something about this. Because from what I see, she doesn't have any right or claim over this brother talking about no take the content down or copyright claims. See, direct your attention back to the screen. You see that two-letter, one-syllable word right there? No. That's something that our continental African and Caribbean brothers and sisters are going to have to get used to saying and asserting. See, far too often when they're around people in the dominant society, they get comfortable with just like whatever they say goes or what have you, and they just bow their head and go along to get along. Nah, see over here, you know, we don't even play the radio with that bullshit. So we're going to get into a couple of things here we got to analyze tonight. But before we do, wow, I've already got to shout somebody out on the Cash App already. Salute to the brother Premier Holmes for the Cash App. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay. So let me go ahead and greet who I see in the chat room here. Oh, we got a well-known troll over here. Let me go ahead and get him about the paint. Yeah, I don't even have that dude though. Yeah. Let me go ahead and greet the brothers and sisters here. I see what's going on, DSA1. Salute to the brother Dunamis. What's going on, brother, out there on them highways and byways? Hope you're safe out there. Iron Will, what's going on, young man? Hydroglyphic. Salute to my moderator, Project Leroy. CRU Reality in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, if you hadn't checked that brother's channel out, he is a musical genius. Very talented brother. If you want a computer built, that's the man you need to see. He will get you right. He'll take care of you. Superstar Jay Quick, what's going on? Brother Lee Holmes in the building. Sister only, Pamela's way. All right, what's going on? Solo Dolo, I see you, comrade. Salute to my moderator, Patricia Jenkins in here. And I see my brother, GB King Harris. Salute to you all that I just greeted. Sidonian Snow, I see you, and everyone else that will be joining us over here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a very thorough lesson on how to combat these white supremacists, and we're going to give our brothers and sisters who are of Caribbean descent and continental African descent a bit of a history lesson, because sometimes, and I'm not punching down, tonight's broadcast isn't going to be about punching down, it's going to be about teaching a lesson. Sometimes the younger ones, they don't really know certain things about history. And see, the reason why I'm always directing you all to history over here, you should use it, like I always say, as game footage to study what went wrong, study what went right, okay, so you know what you need to keep. And it should also serve as a motivator for what you need to be trying to accomplish in the present and navigate on into the future, okay? So we're going to give them a bit of a history lesson, and hopefully this will motivate them. Because, see, before I get to what we're going to review here, I'm going to tell you all like this. One thing that I would like to see, and I know this doesn't apply to everybody, but I would like to see foundational Black Americans. I would like to see our continental African brothers. I would like to see our Caribbean brothers and sisters, wherever we are in the world, all Black melanated people, okay? I would like for us to get to the point where we have an international code, no matter our lineage, that says you touch one of us anywhere, you fight us all everywhere. The day that happens, it's game over for system of white supremacy on a global level. But until we get there, we have to keep on working towards it, working with those that have like minds and doing our part to dismantle the system of white supremacy each and every day. So that's what we're going to be dealing with here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, we are going to get started analyzing this. I hope you got your thinking caps on, and I will be stopping this to break down certain things as need be. Let's get started.
Before we even get started,
Tell them.
if you have watched 2 or more of our videos and you have not subscribed, then we have what, pal?
Beef.
What do we have?
Beef.
Exactly. So you better get doing that right now. Before
Tell
we
'em.
even get started, all right? If you have watched 2 or more of our videos and you have not subscribed,
Tell them.
then we have what, pal?
Beef.
What have we got?
Beef.
Exactly. So you better get doing that right now. Over to you, pal.
I'm making this.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start criticizing right here. You see, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm particularly directing this towards our continental African and Caribbean brothers and sisters. Listen, let me tell you something. I don't care what issues you have with foundational Black Americans. This is one of those times where you need to put that to the side and listen up, because I'm going to teach you something over here that you can use for the rest of your life, wherever you go in the world, when you're dealing with people in the dominant society. I let that play from the beginning there so that you will see how the brother Sarah Garvey, when he was over there, he was pretty much the brainchild behind trying to give her bland mayonnaise ass some seasoning. Because, see, you know, that's something we do as a people. Whatever we do that they attempt to do or have already been doing, we put our own style on it, put our own flavor to it. Now everybody is gravitating to it. It's hot. We are international trendsetters. Not just those of us who are foundational Black Americans. I will extend this to the entire global Black diaspora. Now, it can be argued that we are the most imitated, but this isn't about tit for tat tonight. The point that I'm trying to make is I want all continental Africans and Caribbeans, because I know my people understand this. I want all of you to look at how in your lives, especially if you're a young, talented Black person, in your lives, look at how many times that you have come across people in the dominant society, okay? And then you've helped them with ideas, with your talent, with your time, with your creativity, and then they stab you in the back, okay? It's never worth it to do that. The question that I would pose to you and to my own people as well, my people who are foundational Black Americans, we already know this. Again, I'm directing this towards the greater global Black diaspora, but this is the question that I would pose to you. When you are aware of your history and you're aware of how much these people have stolen from us globally, wherever they've gone, that's the one thing that they're the world champions on. 2 things, actually. Theft and genocide, okay? And lying, 3. They got 3 things they're good at. They're world champions on theft, genocide, and lying, okay? Nobody can ever top them with that, okay? The question I'm going to ask you is this. Knowing what I just said about their history, which can be verified, which they're trying to erase, at least here in America, ask yourself, why are they worth me giving my time, my energy, and my talent to them when they've stolen from our people? You see, I'm going to make this very personal. And for the continental Africans with sense and the Caribbean people with sense, you will get this. Look at your history and what these colonizers have done to your people. When you go and look at Haiti, okay? Haiti was the first global Black diaspora to rebel against their slave masters successfully and kick their asses out. And after that, France proceeded to extort Haiti for decades on end. They just not too long ago got finished paying all of that back. But see, let's look at the extortion. Basically, what these devils did, in a nutshell, you got kicked out of somewhere that you did not belong after you colonized and enslaved the Haitian people. And then you turn around and say, okay, hey, you got that part, but if you don't want us to come back with bigger forces, you're going to have to pay us for everything that you did. I'm like, man, see, let me tell you what the power of being on code would have done. Let me tell you what should have happened, or what I wish would have happened. I wish when that happened back then, when our Haitian brothers and sisters were victorious, I wish they would have told them, you go to hell and you kiss our asses. You're not going to extort us to keep you out from over our land. Because, see, think about it. If Haiti would have been united with Jamaica, Haiti would have been united with all the African nations at that time, and they said, hey, listen, you touch them, you fight all of us at the same time. We coming over there. You're not coming back in. You're not going to extort these people. See, that's the power of being on code that we should have today. And we're capable of doing that, okay? In fact, brothers and sisters, I'll tell you what I'm going to do since you all are gathered over here. I want you to bookmark this broadcast that I did on this channel, all right? Because in this channel, and on this channel right here, this broadcast, The Power of Strategic Reverse Engineering. That broadcast, I'm going to drop that in the chat from time to time as I see more and more people join us, because I think that's something that everybody needs to study. It covers Memorandum 46, the Willie Lynch letter, and several other different things. Okay, so my point in making that statement is, if you're united as a people and everybody has a common denominator code, and I'm talking about the type of code where it's like, sure, within a family, it's going to be fights and arguments. There's not a person in this chat room that's in here now, will be joining us tonight, that hasn't had a dispute within your family. But when there's something external threatening the family, you put that to the side, okay? You say, hey, whoa, we'll get back to this later. This is a bigger threat right now. You see what I'm saying? So that's the mindset that we should have. And it's going to take time to cultivate that, because we have people that are off code in our lineage as LBA people, and we got people that are off code in the continental African and the Caribbean lineage, okay? Those are the setbacks and all of the coons that are defending this thin little piece of shit that put out them fraudulent copyright strikes on that brother, okay? So I'm just pointing that out to let you know the power of being on code. So what we're going to do, we're going to listen to what the brother Sarah Garvey is explaining about Pearly. This is what he says he witnessed. Okay, it's just word of mouth, but I have every reason to believe this brother. And the only thing I will say is this to you, brother Sarah Garvey, and to everybody of my lineage and every other lineage in the global black diaspora. When it comes to dealing with these damn serpents, you don't sit there and wait till everything something goes wrong that you don't like. Once you see the serpents, you need to go ahead and expose them. See, this is why the brother Jason Black, for the last couple of broadcasts, has been trying to drive home the point about having integrity. Let me tell you why this matters, okay? It matters because if you're a selfish individual and you just put your needs first and you say, well, hell, she ain't doing nothing to me, so I'm gonna keep her little secrets. You are not helping your fellow brothers and sisters in the global black diaspora, because we need to know who all these snakes are. We need to know. We need to know. So if you turn a blind eye just so you can get the bag, that makes you look kind of suspect. That's one criticism I would have of the brother, but I digress on that. You need to let us know who they are and where they are. Anytime that you find out, you don't need to wait, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and let you hear what the brother has to say, and we'll be stopping this as need be to break several things down.
Video today that I didn't initially want to make, but there comes a time when we're all at a crossroad and have to make a decision. And sometimes that decision can affect you morally, it can affect you spiritually, and it can affect you financially. But it's a decision that we can't shy away from. Now, recently, Just Pearly Things has been caught up in some controversy. Why? She has interviewed avid racist and known racist Nick Fuentes. He is also an anti-Semite. What did Pearl do when she interviewed him? What she done is that she laughed with him and seems to agree with a lot of his points.
Talk about instances of like when they initially freed the slaves, there were some slaves that felt so indebted to their owners that they would travel across states to pay them back, and they actually had a really good relationship with them.
Now, if she had said some of these things about the Jewish community, she would have been cancelled in a hot minute.
He's absolutely right about that statement about the Jewish community. You know, I've spoken on that many times, that one thing I do respect about them, even though I despise how they lie at times, I respect their ability to stay on code and not back down when it comes to punishing people that they feel have disparaged or disrespected them. That is something we all need to learn how to do in the global black diaspora, not just amongst LBA people. But see, there's something else I want to point out here, okay? Brother Sarah, and I'm saying this to you and all the brothers and sisters that are listening to this, no matter what lineage you're from, y'all got to stop tap dancing around things like she seemed to agree. No, she absolutely agreed. See, in order to be on code, it takes intelligence and courage, okay? You can't be afraid to call racism and white supremacy what it is, okay? They can come around to saying that racism word, but they struggle with calling it white supremacy. Both are the same, okay? White supremacy is the system, all right? But they need to become comfortable with calling this out because, see, I do understand why so many of them struggle with being able to do that. You know, a lot of them, we got to keep it a buck. A lot of their parents will raise them and tell them that success is getting there some good white folks. Okay. And if you can date or marry a white person, whether it's male or female, they see that as success. So when they tend to get around them or when they go to their universities, what I tend to see a lot of times when continental Africans are abroad or Caribbean people are abroad, they're trying to assimilate into speaking the proper King's English, trying to abandon their accents. They become ashamed of their cultures. I'm not saying all, not all, but enough to say a lot to the point where it's a problem, okay? Now, I'm not accusing the brother Sarah Garvey of that, but what I am saying it for is I want everybody that is viewing this to understand you need to start labeling these people what they are, okay? Call them what they are. When you identify something for what it is, you deal with it seriously, you take the threat for what it is, and then you find it easier to mount a defense against it, and it will also be easier for you not to be taken advantage or off guard by the threat of anti-Black racism and white supremacy, which is a deadly thing. See, some people tend to think that when it's just name calling or whatsoever, that it's not so serious. No, these people hold power around the world. When they decide to do something, they're going to do it. Very few people have the power to stop them. Now, fighting them is another story altogether. We can damn sure fight them and win, okay? But you have to be realistic about what you're dealing with. So as a person, you never want to shy away from calling things what they are. I know all of you here in this audience know that, but I'm speaking primarily to the younger ones that don't understand that and don't understand why it's so serious. But we're going to get to that here. Let's let them continue.
Ask Kyrie Irving. Ask Kanye West. Now, this isn't about the Jewish community. This is about us. Okay? And so after that interview, Pearl decided to make an apology video, which was, in my personal point of view, disingenuous and a PR stunt. And all in all, it came from a place of deception.
Guys, people.
He's absolutely right. And I'm going to let this thin-lipped maggot speak here because that's what I always tend to see when I view this, oh, God, this thing is hideous. Here's the thumbnail. She looks just like the damn puppet on the Saw movie. She does. But see, here's something I want to condition our people to get accustomed to. If their apologies don't come with tangibles, whether it's a bag or something that's beneficial to our people, in other words, the list that the Jewish community put out for Kyrie Irving for just posting the link, I like that. Thank you, Jewish community. I like that. I'm adopting that model. If they're not checking off stuff on that list, fuck their apology. Apology don't mean shit unless it comes with something tangible and clear and present course correction. I don't give a damn about you saying you sorry. No, that's not good enough. We should never accept that. Apology ain't worth two dead flies with these people unless it comes with something tangible. So we're going to play this thin-lipped heifer and let her espouse her lies. Because, see, I want y'all to, again, I know you've seen it already, especially over here and many other places. But again, look at her while she's saying what she's saying.
Say that stuff about me. They say I'm sexist. They say I'm a misogynist. And, you know, I really just like to give people the benefit of the doubt when I interview them. I don't go into interviews trying to interrogate someone. I just more try to listen and see where they're coming from. In hindsight, that wasn't smart. And in hindsight, I should have had someone, you know, maybe Sarah Garvey, maybe another content creator that could have pushed back more and really was more educated on the topics that he was talking about than I was, because I certainly was not an expert in any of the stuff that he was talking about.
Now, I've been on social media for a while, and I have done interviews with the likes of Tommy Robinson, Sargon of Akkad, politicians like Lee Jasper, and also Lin May and people from the music industry like So Solid, Mega Man to be exact. Now, Pearl was reacting to my content prior to coming to the UK. And so when she came to the UK, I was very interested in the content that she would actually put out. And it just so happened that she was putting out content that I was interested in, similar to what the late, great Kevin Samuels actually put out. And I understand it because I myself had been embroiled in court cases and things of that nature when it comes to the mother of my son, and understand that the gynocentric order in which we live in is something that needs to be spoken about. So when she came to London, she said that she wanted to make a podcast. And I said, no problem. Okay, let's talk about it.
So now, before he goes on to detail exactly why he was interested in working with her, I have to point this out, and I'm going to make this statement clear before anybody takes offense to it that will catch this live or record it. Get out your feelings, because I need to make this point. And if you're smart, you're going to listen to what I'm saying and think about what I'm saying. I've already made it clear the things about Kevin Samuels, okay, the dearly departed brother Kevin Samuels. Here's the problem about idolizing people and following behind their ideology if it's flawed or if there's a lack of integrity. Look what that led him to. You heard out of his own mouth, he said that, okay, you know, he thought highly of the brother Kevin Samuels' work. And that's why he said, okay, hey, she seems to be doing what he's doing. Well, let me go over here and, you know, hey, if she's talking like Kevin, I should trust her. That's where you went wrong at, brother. That's where you went wrong at. See, and I'm going to make this statement again. I'm not going to stop saying this anytime that I happen to speak on something where this has to come up. All of you who are in the black manosphere or otherwise that say you respected Kevin Samuels, you thought highly of him, you should have never supported no damn just Pearly things. You should be ashamed of yourself for putting the cape on for it now, because she stole the man's swag. Yes, I know. She paid the man $1,000 for an hour of his time. But see, you need to understand something about that too. And I don't care who don't like this. Now, for the short bus people, they're going to have an issue with what I'm about to say, family. I don't give a damn what they're trying to pay for. When it comes to certain things, that should be off limits. Like, no, I can't sell you this. No, I can't let you in on this. You don't belong here. Now, I know some people are like, oh, how could you say that? Okay, I'm going to show you how I can see it. Look at all the stuff they lock us out of. And I'm talking about the global black diaspora, all of us. Look how much stuff the dominant society locks our people out of. There are places where they have meetings where there ain't a nigga inside and you damn sure can't get in there. You better not try. Do you understand that? Let me ask you a question. Everybody's heard about the famous Bilderberg meeting, right? Don't worry, we're not going to go into Alex Jones territory. I'm just using this to make a point. You think it's any niggas in the Bilderberg meeting every time they have that, huh? You think that? You think any black folks sitting at that table while all them damn white demons in there conspiring and plotting on how they going to harm people and manipulate, scheme, and steal? You see what I'm saying? My point is this. We need to have a blood quantum code with certain things. There's certain cultures on this planet where if you're not of their lineage, no, they're not even going to sell it to you. I know in today's society, people think everything's for sale, but trust me, there are still certain things in certain cultures where they're like, hey, look, we can't include you in on the particulars of this. You have to be from our specific tribe or lineage. That's something we all need to get used to practicing with these people. Because see, what they'll do, you better understand how strategic and devious the white supremacist mind is. They'll pay you. Yeah, they'll pay you to get their foot in the door. But when they come in, the first thing they had on their mind before they even exchange any money with you is, how can I steal all of this once I get it? You understand what I'm telling you? Particularly to our continental African and Caribbean brothers and sisters. This is what you better understand. So again, Sarah, that's where you went wrong at, considering that, oh, she looked like she sounded like Kevin Samuels and she said she met with him. No. Brother, I would add this point to you also. I would make this suggestion to you also. You saw the brother has shown you that he's been on social media for a while. He has done several interviews. And like I said, I can be objective, even though he's made certain statements that I took issue with. I can put that to the side and give the brother his props. He is a very charismatic personality. He's articulate, very well spoken. Okay. I can't speak for the ladies, but I think that they will probably find the brother easy on the eyes. So my point in saying all of that is this. Sarah, instead of you trying to be up under somebody like a Pearly things, and I know hindsight is 20/20, but I'm saying this for the future of like young continental African content creators, okay, or Caribbean content creators. Instead of y'all trying to go get up under the white folks, you need to start looking yourself in the mirror and exercising healthy ego. Now, what do I mean about exercising healthy ego? I'll tell you. Let me tell you who are listening to this live or recorded, and I'm talking to everybody that's in this chat room. Whatever your specific skill set or talent is, if you damn good at it, you need to acknowledge that. Do you understand me? Acknowledge that you are one of the best at what you do. If you know that for a fact, if you got a track record, if people speak highly of whatever the work it is that you're doing, you need to make sure that you say, you know what? Yeah, I'm good enough to do my own thing. I don't have to be up under nobody. Once you get your skills to that level, okay? Realistically, all right? That's why I said healthy ego. I'm not talking about delusion. So, in the case of brothers like Sarah Garvey or sisters that have his particular talent, all right? You need to be saying, okay, yeah, I see the white girl over there. She about to be competition. That's how you need to look at it. Like, all right, I'm going to be the black version of this. Or let me get as many continental African and Caribbean people together, and we'll talk about the issues that she's talking about. See, that's what it should be anyway, because I'm going to say it again. I'm telling you, some of her little Sambozo defense force is going to be pissed off. Them people don't belong in family business, man. The people don't belong in family business. That's what y'all got to start understanding. And see, I'm just going to say this, and it's just from what I have observed and my conjecture on this. I tend to think that foundational Black Americans are more guarded with certain things that should be family issues, with the exceptions of our Bucks of Beddingtons and our Winches of Craftingtons and other coons of that nature. But for the most part, foundational Black Americans know not to be sitting up there with white folks talking about our personal business. That's one thing I would encourage all brothers and sisters to understand. I don't care what issue you have with the black man. I don't care what issue you have with the black woman. We don't sit up there in front of them folks talking about our business. So see, Sarah Garvey, what you should have done, and particularly this is what I would suggest to the brother to start doing once he gets it straightened out. Because I see him winning this, because I already know the claims she filed against him are fraudulent. If he's going ahead and taking the necessary steps, that brother's not going to lose the channel. Okay, and he could probably get a bag from her thin lip dance. I hope he hit that bitch all up in her pockets. Make her run to daddy to have to pay. Yes, that's what I want. I believe in litigation. You better believe you me. Y'all know that over here. You hear me say that constantly. But see, Sarah, this is what I want to see you do, brother. Once you get this behind you, you need to say, okay, that's what you tried to do. I'm going to be even bigger now. See, I'm the type of person, if you try to strike me on any particular thing in life, all right, and you fail at it, see, this is another lesson you need to learn. And this goes in line with making sure you have all your ducks in a row before you go to war. When you strike, make sure it counts. Because if you don't finish your target and you allow it to get back up, that can be one of the worst mistakes you've ever made, especially for a determined and motivated person. So, Sarah, what you need to start doing is recruiting young brothers, okay? Recruit young brothers and sisters that have talent, bring them in, and you build your own thing. See, I have to say this to continental African and Caribbean people, right? I have to say this to y'all. I know that foundational Black Americans, Caribbeans, and continental Africans, we have our differences with one another when it comes to pride about certain things, but put this to the side for a minute and take in what I'm saying to you. And I mean this in respect and love, okay? Y'all got to get y'all confidence in yourselves up, man. I'm going to say it again. You have to get your confidence in your abilities to network. You have to get your confidence in your abilities to create and build opportunities for yourself. Y'all got to get that up. Y'all got to get this stuff out your head thinking that, well, in order for me to be successful, I need a white person. No, you don't. No, you don't. See, if you borrow anything from your foundational Black American cousins over here, most of us, we don't look at like, oh shit, in order for me to get popping, I need a white person. Nah, we try to cut them out as much as possible. Okay, now, due to our situation, being that we don't run a majority of the governments and the business and patent office that we have to deal with them in some respects. But the wisest of us and the most successful of us, we cut their asses out the way every chance we get. Okay? There's no thought in our head. We're like, oh boy, this ain't gonna work unless I get a white person. No. Too many of you have that mindset, okay? No. Look, let me tell you something. I'm gonna take it a step further. See, I know this is going to be scary to some of you that's like, oh, how's he saying that? We need to include everybody. No, you don't. What's happened to us historically every time we include everybody? This is what y'all need to get accustomed to doing. If you're going to hire them, some of y'all may laugh at what I'm about to say, but if you're going to hire them, let me tell you what you hire them for. If you have a facility, a brick and mortar facility, okay, you're doing what you do over there. You producing whatever you're producing. Hire them to sweep floors. That's right, I said it. Give them the jobs that they gave our ancestors. You need something cleaned up? Yeah, hire them to do that. Give them that job. I'm pretty sure bathrooms need to be cleaned. They can do that. Boys trying to do what you do? Oh, no. I'm good on that. We got black employees for that. Yeah, I said it that way. Why am I saying that way? You think they don't talk like that about us wherever we are? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you gonna hire them, nah, keep them out your business, man. That's what y'all gonna have to learn how to do. So that's my suggestion to the brother Sarah Garvey, man. Rebuild, get some young people, and do your own thing. Let's let the brother continue.
And I decided to feature on her show. Now, when I featured on her show, because of my following in the UK, people would tune in. So essentially, I helped Pearl grow her channel. Okay, I was on there week to week, and I was working with her based on a fee. So the tragic death of Kevin Samuels happened, and there was a vacuum within the manosphere space. Who was it going to be filled by? It was actually filled by just Pearly Things along with other content creators. Now, I believe that the reason why this space was filled is because Kevin Samuels had a large following of black men. And these black men were essentially fed up with the way feminism had taken over their community, specifically their women. So when he died, there was a vacuum and a lot of black men looking for content like this. And it was filled by Pearl. And I believe that Pearl rose to fame because she herself was the opposite of what those men had been seeing.
So let's stop and deal with that right there, okay? He's absolutely correct. When the brother Kevin Samuels passed, that did create a vacuum of sorts. See, I want to lay this out for you all so that you understand it, especially those of you who are not content creators. Think of the YouTube content creation space as an empire, okay? You know, you just roam whichever one you want to picture in your head. Just think of it as an empire. All right. Now, consider that empire to have different kings in the region or monarchs in the regions or whatever. And then the most powerful monarch that keeps all of it together somewhat dies or is overthrown or what have you. Well, what you're going to have is a bunch of people scrambling to get that spot. So it creates a power vacuum. Now, I am not crowning the late Kevin Samuels an emperor or anything. This is just an analogy to show you that how when somebody that has the influence and the magnitude of a Kevin Samuels, whether it's ill-gotten or not, okay, how that can create a void that's left to be filled. So now let's point out the weakness in this, because I always like to present things to you from a warfare perspective. Here's the weakness in this. And I'm going to say it like it is because they can't deny it because we seen what happened, okay? All of us with sense seen what happened. We call it for what it is. Her Sambozo Defense Force, they're not going to admit nothing. See, when you allow yourself to get caught up in, oh, the feminists, this, that, and you have such an issue with black women or black men, or whatever the case may be, that you decide to go inside with the oppressor, this is what happens, okay? See, one thing that we can appreciate today with the internet is we get our lessons in real time. For those of us with sense. Now, you got some people, there's no matter what you show them, cognitive dissonance is going to rule the day. But for those of us with sense, we understand that, okay, this is a lesson that needs to be learned, and it is a mistake that doesn't need to be repeated. So what I would say to those brothers is this: whatever you calling yourself trying to believe in, you need to have this consensus amongst you. I am not going to include white people in our business. Why would you? They cannot relate to us. They don't understand us. And as Pearl has admitted out of her own thin-lipped mouth, she just in it to make money. She's not trying to help anybody. Say what you want about Kevin, at least he did have the conviction that he thought he was helping people, okay? So that's where you went wrong at. But see, let's point this out also. We got to go ahead and say it. this is what happens when you are a coon. I'm not calling Sarah a coon, okay? I'm speaking primarily of the people that was rushing behind to go and worship at the feet of Lice Spice, okay? See, you let your hatred of your own people, particularly black women, blind you into forgetting that the original demon was that thin-lipped heifer. See, if you caught my last broadcast yesterday and you saw what I reviewed there, you saw the comments that she made about us not getting reparations, black people globally, not just black Americans, okay? Don't you know that's been instilled into that witch from the time she was a child? Her daddy talked like that. Her grandparents talked like that. See, if you pay attention, you can see the racism in these people. When they just look at their face when they're saying what they're saying. They're not just saying it for shits and giggles. When you say something with conviction, this is why we always tell you to study people's eyes. Go back and look at that footage and just look at that woman's eyes. That's somebody that believes wholeheartedly in every word that was coming out of her mouth, okay? And see, this is something that our continental African and Caribbean brothers and sisters better start learning to do. Learn how to read these people. When you hear foundational black Americans telling you about them, instead of you, oh, these niggas don't know what they're talking about. Now, you might better say, you know what? I don't like everything that they're talking about, but maybe I need to think about this. Maybe let me look into this. Let me see why they're saying what they're saying. You understand me? That's what y'all better start doing. But let's let the brother continue.
Was a white woman. She wasn't the types of women that they had been seeing. And essentially, she was regurgitating Kevin Samuels' content. So I began working with Pearl, and from the beginning, I started to think that maybe this girl has a colonial mindset. Now, we all know that we don't want to be paranoid, so I kept working with her. However, the more I worked with her is the more that I saw.
Now let's address this. Brother Sarah and everybody else who is not a foundational black American lineage, here's another lesson that we know. If you feel that, if you start to think that rather, do not deny your gut instinct. Let me tell you something, that can save your life, man. I know a lot of people like, man, don't get metaphysical. No, listen to me. There have been plenty of times where that gut feeling I've had has saved my life. I'm pretty sure many of you can relate to that in here, okay? So my point is this. If you get that vibe off of one of them, 99 times out of 100, you're going to be right. See, one thing that racism and white supremacy shares is these people have the same code wherever they go. I will prove it to you. And this should be something very easy for the very well-traveled continental Africans to grasp, because y'all everywhere trying to go to school, this, that, and the third, not knocking that. I just hope you have plans to go back home and build. Here's what I want y'all to think about, especially those that fit that description if you're a student abroad and you're continental African. I don't care whether it's a German, a Russian, okay? I don't care whether it's a white American, white British person, white Australian, wherever these people are, whatever differences they have. If our black ass is nearby, they will put that shit to the side and say, hey. If all of us are white, they're not. Those are niggers. Now, we better figure out what to do about them right now. All this other stuff you talking about, we'll get back to that. We need to get on these niggas. See, that's what y'all don't understand. They see you as niggas too. Now, some of them would call you the K word. I won't repeat that. I mean, if you know what it is, racist ass Mahatma Gandhi used it. But see, you better start understanding that's how they see you. So what's the counter to that? The counter to that is, oh, okay, that's how it is? Cool. Then all of us will be on code as well. See, when your oppressors are on code, you can't afford not to be. That's not a game. That's a protection for your people fact of business, okay? That's what y'all gonna have to start getting comfortable with. And this whole guilt, see, this is something that I think they're going to have to, well, I know they're going to have conversation amongst themselves because, see, I'm not of their lineage, okay? My experience is different, okay? Our ancestors here, what we went through is different. However, their people were colonized, so they're going to have this conversation. Why is it that we are so hesitant and reluctant to label or call racists and white supremacists what they are? That's an internal conversation they're going to have because, see, no matter how much we try to put them up on game, There's certain things where you can only deal with in your own sphere and specter. See, think about this, right? So that I make this stick and make it plain. Take two married people, okay? Now, you see these people out in public, all right? They appear like they're a happy couple, man. They got the perfect life. But behind closed doors, they're going through some issues, okay? So now, you can give your little 2 cents on what you think this or that wills and what's going on, what you think might help. But in reality, you can't really do too much because you're not with that married couple 24/7. You're not under their roof, okay? So that's a situation they're going to have to work out amongst themselves to have the best result. Now, can you get advice from other people in that situation to help? Sure, you can. But nobody's really going to understand your situation but the people under your roof. In like fashion, that's the same with continental Africans that have this issue about calling racism and white supremacy what it is. Y'all going to have to get together, especially young people, and be like, hey, listen, man, what is our issue with saying that? Okay? I can give my conjecture on what I think it is, but they know what it is. I can speculate off of what I've seen, having gone to many different places and been around them, but I'm not one of them. So I can't say what it is in particular. That's a conversation y'all better start having when you're in these other countries. Because, see, you all you got when you over there in these places where you're not the majority. When you leave, whatever country you come from in Africa or in Caribbean nations, you over there in enemy territory, okay? See, the reason why we are able to deal with this white supremacy better than most, we're outnumbered on our own homeland, okay? So for the most part, those of us with sense, we know we all we got. That's why we don't take that cooning as a joke, okay? So that's my suggestion to the brother Sarah Garvey. Let's let him get back to it.
She had a colonial type viewpoint when it came to black people. And I had to school her a few times on what it was like to be black and the black experience, and also what slavery and colonization was actually like.
Do you think that historical catastrophes must be compensated for?
No.
No.
That's stupid.
So then, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
So then, how come there were groups of people that got compensation then?
How come?
For instance, like Jewish people.
Once again, family, if you're just not seeing this for the first time, because this is what the brother Sarah Garvey put out here, where he said he was trying to educate her, and see, that's a fool's errand. You're not going to educate no white person. Let me say this loud and clear. You are not going to educate any white person on racism and white supremacy. That's like you going to a Mercedes-Benz dealership and telling them you're going to tell them more about the car than they already know that they manufacture. How you going to do that? That's impossible. These people are not stupid. You're not educating them on nothing. They know. They have to know, especially by the time they hit age 15, like Neely Fuller Jr. has taught us. If not, there's consequences for that. So, again, I want you to look at her while she's talking. In fact, before we even play this, look at Pearl right now. Look at Brother Sarah Garvey. Okay, because see, we're going to make this lesson stick for the young continental African Caribbean people that really want to do better, because I want y'all to understand this too. The young people, for the most part, they really don't like the way things are going. There's some of them that are coons, but for the most part, a lot of the young people, they look up to us and like, hey, man, we don't want to be tolerating this racism and white supremacy either. Okay? So those are the people that I think of, all right? Now, this is my point I want y'all to study. Look at Sarah Garvey. He's looking directly at her because he's speaking with sincerity. He actually thinks he's helping her or trying to get through to her. And he's like, well, maybe if I explain it this way, she'll see where I'm coming from. All right? Because I want to work with her. I think she's a good person or whatever. That's what he's thinking. Now, in contrast, take a good look at Pearl. She's looking past him. Do you see that? See, the reason why I'm doing this, y'all probably think I'm clutching at straws here. No. See, I learned these lessons when I was a small child. She's looking past him like that because that's a sign of disrespect. She's like, nigga, I'm not trying to hear nothing you telling me. You don't know more than my dad or my granddad. See, the other thing I want to point out to you as well, look at this woman's face while she's looking past him, while he's looking directly at her. That's a look of indoctrination. In other words, that look on her face, that is what happens when you've been conditioned from your youth and indoctrinated into the system of racism and white supremacy, particularly towards black people, okay? You're not going to pull that out of somebody. See, I'm going to make another controversial statement. Family, when they start poisoning, because that's what you're doing, when you start mentally and spiritually poisoning those young white children, you ruin that child. It's over. Once they do that, very few of them are able to reject that and get away from that type of mindset because it's demonic. Racism and white supremacy is demonic. So I want you to make sure you pay close attention to her face while he's trying to educate her.
Chinese people, Japanese people with the bombs. Like there were groups of people who got compensated.
I don't know.
So it wasn't fair.
What? Well, I'm talking about like when I think about group, I think about reparations. So I mean, maybe if the people were still alive today, like, I don't know, maybe. But
now let's point this out also. All right. You see, he's doing his level best to try to educate her because he thinks she's ignorant. See, that's another thing a lot of continental Africans in particular think. They think that the white people are just ignorant. No, these people know this. This has been passed down through generations of family. See, understand this. I'm going to prove a point before I point something out about this. If they were truly just ignorant and education was the answer, don't you think by now there would be more of them that would be advocating for you to be treated fairly when you come into contact dealing with them, whether you're abroad in their country or whether they come to your country? Would they still be trying to shit on you if it was so many of them that were just ignorant? That was just the answer. Look how long we've been around them and interacted with them, okay? And I'm speaking of the global black diaspora. If that was the case, that they were just ignorant and they didn't wholeheartedly believe this shit like a religion, because to them, white supremacy is a religion, they would have changed their tune a long time ago, at least some of them, okay? So now, let's point this out. The other thing that we have to diagnose here, because see, over here, I want y'all to learn what you're looking at. For the young people, okay? I know everybody in this chat room already knows it. Did you ever pay attention to how when you review these clips, when something about slavery or reparations or anything that was a grievance or torturous to black people come up, why did this bitch always have a smile on her face? See, what I'm doing here, I'm teaching you how to look past that fair skin and the blonde hair, auburn hair, whatever the case may be. And you need to see the demon in this motherfucker. Notice, if you go back, when she was talking to white supremacist Nick Fuentes, when they were speaking on the Holocaust, she wasn't smiling then. Oh, yeah, I caught that. Go back and look at it for yourself. She wasn't smiling and grinning like that. When it comes to black people, well, you know, always grinning and chuckling when it comes to our people's pain. Why am I telling you this? Particularly you young continental Africans and Caribbeans. I'm telling you this because you cannot redeem something that does not have a fucking soul. Do you understand me? For those of us that know the horrors of American chattel slavery and colonization over there in the African continent and what was done to Caribbean people, if you know what that was, what the hell was funny about that? We're going to make a point later on tonight about that here too. If something is capable of laughing at that type of suffering inflicted upon a human being that did not deserve it, a human being that was either stolen from their land or their land was invaded and they were colonized, how the fuck is that funny? See, if you got any type of human empathy in you, you're not able to laugh at that. And she knows what it is. Let's be clear on that. How do I know that? Do you think that this woman, this demon rather, I'm not going to grace her by calling her a human being. This is a damn demon. We're going to call it what it is. Do you think this demon will have such strong and staunch opinions about reparations and how we don't deserve it and all this other stuff and everything she said about slavery being embellished? You really think she developed that on her own, or do you think that that's something she got from her father, her mother, her grandparents? Do you understand where I'm going? There is nothing in her that resembles a human damn being. You cannot redeem that. You're not going to educate that. You better deal with racism and white supremacy for the threat that it is. That's the point that I'm making to you all. I understand that globally we are a compassionate people, but see, here's the mistake that our ancestors made. When you go back and look at global black history. The one mistake everybody made. In fact, you know what? I can even stretch it past just black folks, even though that's what I'm particularly addressing. But when you look at everywhere they gone in the world, the one mistake that everybody made was fucking with them in the first place. People should have said, hey, nah, bro. No, go back to where you came from. I saw what you did to them people. What make you think I'm going to trust you after you did that to them? Think about that for a second. Let me put it to you this way. Because, see, a lot of people are too afraid to say the things that I'm going to say over here. But I got to do it anyway. Family, everybody gathered over in this chat room tonight. Everybody listen to this. Imagine what the world would have been like if everybody would have did what I just said and just said, hey, nah, go back where you came from. Nope. We're not going to even start. We don't want to trade with you. No, you can't come over here. No. Send their ass back to Europe. Their asses should have stayed over there during the bubonic plague. Zeriab should have never went over there to help them, the Moors. And that would have been it for them. They would have been done. How do I know that? Oh, I'm going to make this hurt. Boy, the white supremacists is going to hate this one. I know they would have been done because, family, look at history. Look at it. Again, I got to go back there because that's the great reveal of all things besides time. These people can't survive on their own without getting other people to do work for them. They've never done anything on their own. They didn't have the answer to that plague and everything over there. They were too stupid to even wash their damn asses. These motherfuckers thought lice were pearls of God. Seriously. That lets you know that all this high IQ talk is bullshit. If your IQs were so high, how would you not know to do the most basic of things, which is wash your damn ass for the sake of your health? Had we left them over there to starve to death and die of that bubonic plague, the world wouldn't be in the shape it's in right now. Yeah, I'm making that statement. They're 8%. They were 10%. Now it's fallen to 8. Hey, don't get mad at black people. The universe has put you on the chopping block of judgment. That's not our fault. We can't turn that around if we wanted to. They're now 8% of the world population, but look at the problems these people cause. A mere 8%. Yet they have a global system of white supremacy everywhere they go. They swindling, stealing, killing, raping, every underhanded demonic thing you can think of. Not even children are off limits. So I posit to you again. If everybody had said, nope, we're not fucking with you. No, we can't give you nothing. Don't come back over. In fact, next time you come over here, it's North Central Island time. That's why I say those are the smartest black people on the planet. If everywhere they went, if they would have been greeted like that, this we wouldn't have this problem today. We wouldn't. This little bitch wouldn't be able to sit here and grin at the pain of our ancestors like that. Yeah, I told you, when you come over here, I'm going to make you think. But let's let them continue.
Like, when you said historical, I thought you meant like at the past, not the present.
Yeah, so like in the past, so like people talk about slavery. So in the past, you know, the Holocaust happened. In the past, you know, the Japanese, but people got compensated for it. Yeah. There's a book, right, called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And when you read that book, you realize that the whole Industrial Revolution and stuff like that was started because of the colonization. And you just think, well, if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't be as successful.
That's a very good book to read. I recommend all of you go and get that book because it will explain a great deal about how these people think and why they act the way they do. In fact, the business. Let me take this time to also recommend you another book. We're gonna pause this right here. Bring this up. Oh yeah, let me take this banner now. I want y'all to see this. I posted this book on my community tab. Okay, it's probably not the first time you've seen me done so because I try to keep things fresh on your minds over here that I know will be a benefit to you and your children. They Were Her Property. White Women as Slave Owners in the American South by Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. Let me say something to my continental African and Caribbean brothers and sisters. Even though it's our history, you would do well to study it, in addition to your own. Get that book, family, and read it if you don't have it. And I'm going to caution you, just as I did with The Delectable Negro, the book by Vincent Woodard that detailed the horrors of slavery inflicted upon our people. This is another book that I have to caution you before you read it, and I would recommend you read it in phases. But it is a necessary read because it gives an accurate description that will help you see. And this is the part that's going to shock you even before you finish the book. If you don't already know this, the part that's going to shock you is going to show you how white women's behavior towards black people has not changed from that time period. That's how they see us, as their property. You understand me? That's the part that's really going to shock you. We're like, oh, shit, these motherfuckers act just the same as their clan ancestors. Yeah. So I recommend you all get that book in addition to the one that the brother mentioned there, because, see, the tools to fight this thing, man, that we're dealing with, it starts with knowledge, okay? The more knowledge that you have, the better off you're going to be when you're dealing with the system of racism and white supremacy on a global level. And see, the responsibility of those of us that are older is to train the younger generation so they're not blindsided by it. The worst thing and the most treacherous thing you can do is tell a black child, male or female, we all one human race, oh, they just ignorant, and you don't go into specifics about the history and where it is in present day and explain to people how we got where we are. I posit to you that you hate your children if you don't try to school them by a certain age. You should start giving them small basics when they're, old enough to understand things, okay? But to just let them go blind and don't even try to sit down and tell them about history and have that conversation with them, doing your child disservice, and it might cost them their life one day. So now, before we let this play again, remember what I told you when it came to the subject of the Holocaust being brought up? Notice how that smile went off her face then. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? When he brought up about the Jewish community and the Holocaust, that smile disappeared. Yeah. She got serious then. See, let me say this before we go back to this, right? These people are so indoctrinated with white supremacy. What I'm saying to you, she don't even realize it. It becomes a reflex, okay? It's a reflex. That anti-black racism and that white supremacy in this demon is a reflex. Now, that's the negative way that you can espouse something or explain something that where somebody's acting on code, because that's on code with racism and white supremacy. The counter to that would be being on code where it's a reflex amongst black people, so that we practice black empowerment, group economics, okay? And we're always trying to make sure we protect one another, all right? That should be a reflex for us. Because, see, if you try to just tell her this, she don't know. See, it's in them by osmosis. It's something that you don't even have to think about, like I said. So when you're dealing with a people that's how they've been indoctrinated and trained from their youth, you can't play with that, man. They can get on code around one another without even speaking a word. All they have to do is just see one thing. Oh, that's a nigga over there. All right, we already know. Let's let them get back to it.
So what do you mean by the colonization?
So the colonization of Africa, so both the people and the resources, right? There's a direct correlation between the colonization of Africa and the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
And so with all the metals and the rubber and all this kind of stuff coming from Africa, it fueled the Industrial Revolution of the West.
Wait, so you're saying like in Africa, when you say colonized, you're saying like did England come in and colonize?
Yeah, like so European, France, Spain, Portugal, England.
And they like enslaved Africans? And that's what you're saying? Okay.
So they...
You see how disgusting this is? This woman knows that. Family, just look at what she's trying to pretend. She's trying to pretend that she didn't know anything about the colonization of Africa. I'm going to tell you how I call cap on that, and I know I'm right about it. See, again, this is one of the advantages of growing up in the American South, okay? And having the privilege of having known your great-grandparents on both sides of your family. What do you think white people talk about when they're not in our company in their homes? See, for most of us, we don't even think about them like that, but we're on their minds 24/7. You think that none of her people had never sat around and talked about politics? They had never talked about experience they've had going out the country, dealing with other black people, especially if they've gotten over on black people. You really don't think that they don't come back and congregate one another and talk to each other about these types of things? You really think this woman don't know nothing about colonization on the continent of Africa? No, man. I guarantee you before she hit 10 years old, she done heard every type of word you could call a black person that's pejorative. I know she have, okay? See, she don't fool me. And I'm going to tell you something else, too. When you gain the type of insight and knowledge of a person that they cannot fool, let me tell you something what they can't stand. That enrages them because, see, the sick thing about a white supremacist is they get a special joy out of taking advantage of people that don't know what they are. And I said what for a reason, because they are not human beings. No, they look like humans, but they are devoid of souls. You can't be a human without a soul, okay? They get pissed off because, one, they won't get the satisfaction of shitting on you because you got your guard up. And number two, you'll make sure that you go out your way to teach other generations that, hey, this is how you deal with them. You don't. If you can help it, no, don't trust them at all. If you have to deal with them, make sure you got all your ducks lined up in a row, and just expect that they're going to do what they've always done historically. These people have never honored a single treaty with anybody that they've ever been in around the world, especially when it comes to black folks, ever. Why do you think Russia and China now are forming alliances to start to combat America and the UK on the global world stage? A lot of y'all probably didn't know about that. If you've been paying attention to my community tab, you probably caught articles that I posted about these things. Better study those things. A lot is shifting on the global stage, family. And see, the reason why this so-called small incident can be used to teach you about what's to come, there's going to come a point in time with events that are shifting where it's going to be life or death for all black people to be on code. I'm telling you. It's too many things that I'm paying attention to, as well as probably many of you in the chat room are paying attention to. This is something we must take seriously. Let's let them continue.
Well, they enslaved and at least colonized the continent.
Okay.
So when you colonize a continent and then you take ownership of the resources, you're able to gather those resources together and use them to your own benefit.
Right.
And so you gather those resources, use them to your own benefit, and build up your economy, all the while messing up the economy of that actual country.
Right.
So that video was filmed in 2022. And in that video, what you saw was me attempting to tell Pearl and show Pearl what colonization was like. How people went to another group of people and took their resources and took what was theirs and built their empire off of it.
Now, you saw that piece of shit, Queen Elizabeth. You all caught the broadcast I did on her, that damn demon right there. See, Pearl has been taught to idolize people like that departed wicked demon, may she rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth, okay? That's what she's been taught to idolize. Now, if he was really had an understanding of that, like Foundation of Black Americans, he would have known that you're not going to educate this woman on anything. But I want you to listen to what he's saying, right? Because he's saying it in good faith. He really thought that's what he was able to do.
So when Pearl now plays like she doesn't know what colonization is, and she doesn't know what slavery is, and she says these insensitive statements, in that video, I actually attempted to give her a book. It was called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I've read it myself. She semi-dismissed that book. She kind of dismissed that book. And then she went on with herself to go and interview a man like Nick Fuentes. Pearl has Africans that work for her. Now, Nigeria has many issues. Now, the disparity in Nigeria has rich and poor people living just on the breadline. And Pearl has these types of people working for her. They edit her videos. They make her thumbnails.
So, look what I have here. This is evidence to show how hard my Americans work.
That right there, the brother that's holding the plaque, that will be the producer that works for Pearl, the African brother known as Blessing. The other dude is the guy named King Riches. Family, keep this in mind because he's going to tell you something about them. And when I heard this, I was like, oh, yeah, it all makes sense now. But hey, let's let it continue.
No, hold on. You forgot, yeah? What? This is how hard my white Americans work.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
They're very hard workers.
Yes.
I like how they work. My white Americans really work hard. You see that?
They inspire us to work harder.
No. Do you know what? They don't even inspire. They're working hard for themselves, bro.
Oh, okay.
You know, they're putting in a lot of work, yeah? They put in a lot of work. My white white Americans
you guys should
work hard. Yeah, you could.
So Pearl has taken people on from Africa, which on the surface looks like a good thing. And I guess it is. Africans are being fed. They're taking money from her. They are feeding their family. Amazing. However, with a colonial mindset, this can be quite dangerous. And what happened during that interview with Nick Fuentes was that she used an age-old tactic that colonizers use, which was the divide and rule tactic. She pitted African Americans versus Africans when she spoke about how hard Africans work compared to how hard African Americans work. And she also used the term, my Africans. Much of what Pearl says is determined by her management, which she has said to me on many occasions that she shares with Candace Owens. So when you have a colonial mindset and you have a management who tell you what to say, what generally happens in my personal point of view and what I actually saw was that she began to start paying people pittance. She began to start offering contracts to people that owned them, just like a colonial master would.
So now, let's deal with what he just said, okay? Got a couple of things to tackle right here. Brother Sarah Garvey, now I don't know what his political views are over there. I'm not going to even speculate on that because I'm familiar with him, but I'm not familiar with him enough to say, okay, he leans to the left or right over there in his country. But I will say this to you, Sarah Garvey. Once you found out that her manager was in league with Candace Owens, that should have been the end of your dealings with her right there. You should have cut ties with her, man. If you know what Candace Owens is about, and I'm pretty sure you do, you're very intelligent, brother. That should have let you know, oh, hell no. You think this Sambo is somebody, Sam Bet, rather, is somebody to look up to or associate with or work with? I would have cut ties right then without an explanation, all right? That would have been the smart thing to do because they don't deal with other white supremacists and coons unless they agree with them. That should have gave you an idea of what was coming, brother, all right? And I would say that to everybody else. So now, when he starts talking about the pittance, that's British terminology for a small amount or least amount, what have you, for those of you not familiar with British dialect, or pittance, okay? Yes, that's how they speak. What he's describing is basically she got them locked into a form of a damn 360 deal, like a record contract. That's what he's saying now. Again, this is going by word of mouth. He's not going to present anything physical here. But I believe this brother. I honestly believe he's telling the truth about what he's saying, okay? So here's the thing. The reason why I was trying to encourage earlier at the onset of the broadcast for not only Sarah Garvey, but other continental Africans that are into media and trying to do things that have a talent to stop trying to get up on these white folks because that's how they see you. They always see you like that. See, again, one thing I will give him credit, he got it right with the colonizer part. He's on the money with that. The colonizer mindset is definitely there. That's what she was born and bred to be, okay? And she's been displaying that with her behavior, in addition to everything that we called her out about, all right? So now, if you know this and you understand this, then you understand that the best bet is for you to get with your own people. Or even if you're not from the same country, it's another fellow African, another fellow Caribbean person. We should get on, and y'all know where we going with this. If you had your minds right, you would be on an international Black First code. That's the way we see. If you thought that way, it would be hard for these people to do anything to any of us, anywhere. Okay, it would be real hard because everybody would be like, "Hey, okay, that's another Black person. I ain't gonna let you do that. Nah, not in front of me. You're not." See, again, I'm going to put this in the chat room here because I want y'all to study this. Put this in the chat room several times. The broadcast that I did on the power of strategic reverse engineering. If you missed that broadcast, I strongly suggest that you go back and review it because we talk about a great number of things like Memorandum 46 and so on and so forth, where these people have actually sat down and plotted to keep us divided like that, okay? This is why we be trying to tell you off code Sambos and Sambets and other cultures like, hey, listen, man, these people have plotted to do this a long time ago. So now if you go side with them and kiss their asses, well, we just going to have to let you hold your own nuts, okay? Because we already know. We're not going to waste time trying to explain something to you that we already know. We don't have time for that. Now, for those of you that understand that, you take that into account and you don't leave yourself open like that. When you know better, you do better, okay? So, Brother Sarah Garvey, man, if you happen to see this, man, I hope you will strongly consider everything that we're going to say here tonight because, like I said, my brother, I disagree with certain statements that you made about my lineage for obvious reasons, but you're a fellow black man, and I don't want to see no black man sitting up here being taken advantage of by this pale, thin-lipped demon here. And you got to stop trusting not just her, but you're going to have to stop trusting all of them. I know that's a hard thing for a lot of y'all to do, man. Because the first thing y'all want to say, oh, all white people, like, yeah, not all, but enough to say most. I'd rather be the person on the smart end, and I'll make it hard for you to take advantage of me than the person that just running around trying to trust them when they show you over and over and over again what they're about. That's all I'm saying to you, but let's let the brother continue.
Case in point. Myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation about me signing to her contractually. And I want to make this very clear. I have never signed to the Just Pearly Things network. I have always been an independent. Pearl has known that, and I have known that. And so anytime I worked with Pearl, we had agreed a fee, and I worked for that fee. I have never been signed to the Just Pearly Things contracts. However, she has signed a few Africans, namely King Riches and Auntie Jenny. Now, I have no problem with a King Riches or an Auntie Jenny. However, if we look at the contracts that they signed, you would understand the reason why I use the term colonization and colonial. Now, myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation, and she expressed to me that she wanted to do a new segment for her show. In that segment, she said that she would like me to present a topical news show on a day-to-day basis. So I said, okay, no problem. Talk to me. What are we talking about? And she said she would want me within her studio 4 days per week. I said, okay, from what time? She said from...
Now, I want y'all to listen to how she's about to try to finesse this brother, man. Oh, boy, see, the reason why, and see, let's point this out, too. Notice that Pearl is from the Midwest in America. Ask yourself why she ran her ass way over to London to do this. Let me make this clear, because I want y'all to hear me, what I'm saying to you, if you're a continental African or Caribbean brother or sister. Reason why she took her funky, pale, thin-lipped, light spice looking ass over there, they know to try y'all like that. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not punching down. I'm telling you why she did that. Ask yourself why she didn't try to do that over here. Because she know that black people over here be like, hey, whoa, wait a minute. Nah, you need to talk about your people. And what you and I been, we would have lit her ass up, man. She wouldn't have been able to get off the ground over here like that. It would have been too much pushback. All right. She would have tried it. Yeah, but she know what it is over here with the climate in our country right now. See, a lot of people not asking themselves that question. Why you took your ass all the way over to London? See, let me make it plain for y'all. And again, if you're continental African or Caribbean, don't get in your feelings. Do some investigation into what I'm saying and some introspection and say, okay, do they really, does the brother have a point? Reason why they try y'all like that, man, because they know that they can get over on you. They know that, see, when they come around you talking about you work so much harder than us and you eat that shit up, and then they get around you and they say disrespectful things that are racialized jokes, and you let that shit slide and you make excuses for them as if, oh, everybody else is being sensitive or whatever. They look at you as the weak link. They're like, oh, okay, if we can do anything, yeah, we can pull that off on these black people. And to sum it up, this is why they prefer you over foundational black Americans. That's the truth. If you hate what I'm saying, it is what it is. I'm not saying it to pick on you. I'm saying it in hopes that you get together in groups and say, you know what, let's analyze what this brother said. He pissed us off. Yeah, he did. But is there truth to it? Is this why those people keep coming around us doing that? And see, here's a test for you. So like I said, I don't care if you hate me as long as you get the truth and change your behavior. Put it to the test. Stop being so accommodating amongst them. Start telling them no. See what happens then. Watch how their behavior change towards you. Don't take my word for it. Put it to the test. Let's let them continue.
From 10 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. And I said, okay, well, that is 7 hours. I said, so working 4 to 5 days a week for 7 hours is essentially a day job. I said to her, okay, so what is my guaranteed fee at the end of the month? What is the salary? And she looks at me and she says, we do not do guarantees and we do not do salaries. So I said, so if you don't do guarantees and you don't do salaries, what is it that you actually do? And she said she does percentages. So I said, okay, cool. Well, what's the percentage?
Let me stop him right there. See, let me tell y'all something, man. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, particularly one of my businesses is in the tech sector, okay? Anything that I do when it comes to business, the name on this channel applies to me offline. I am like a shark when it comes to business. I don't play about my damn money. You're not going to finesse me. When that bitch would have said, oh, we don't do guarantee, ain't no salary. Oh, okay. All right. Have a nice day. It would have been nothing else to discuss. And let me tell you something else, you ask, particularly for young black men, because everybody can benefit from this, but especially my young black brothers just trying to get yourself financially stable and get on solid footing. Business is not just about knowing the law and contracts and synergies, this, that, the third. Business is about how you walk into that room and conduct yourself with an air of confidence and self-respect. You understand me? And don't be afraid to tell somebody no. You don't go along and see, well, maybe we can work. No. You make people respect your talent, your time, and your presence. See, you need to get to the point that, hey, look, my time is a non-renewable resource. And my mere presence, especially amongst one of the dominant society, this is a privilege for you. Oh, yes, that's how I think. That's how I think when it comes to them. My mere presence in front of you, especially if you're seeking to get me to do something, this is a privilege for you. Because if you could have done it, you would not have come to me. Now, let me give you another rule that every smart business person should exercise, particularly you young black men. When somebody attempts to play you when you're doing business, not only do you cut them short and leave, you penalize them by making sure they have no further access to you without, hear what I'm saying, without dropping you a bag first. Be like, okay, motherfucker, you think my time is something to play with? Something that I could have taken to earn me more money elsewhere or been doing something else creative? You think you're going to play with that? There must be a punishment for that. So if they deal with you in the future, hey, before I hear anything, you need to drop that bag. You need to drop that bag. You gonna have you got to drop that bag to one, apologize for the bullshit of wasting my time, which I take deadly serious. And then you make them compensate you for that. So whatever the case may be like, okay, yeah, you had to pay for that. So you better start thinking about your time and your talent and your effort like that, okay? I know it sounds harsh, but particularly you men, you shouldn't find what I said harsh. Trust me, you will be very successful in life if you adopt that model, okay? When dealing with them people. If they don't drop that bag, fine, no problem. Call communication with their ass and make sure that you warn other black people about them, okay? Especially if y'all have a similar code to that. See, my brothers that I deal with in the business arena, that's how we think. You waste our time, that is a cardinal sin. We don't play that shit. You do that once, you'll never get a chance to do it again. It's giving y'all a little bit of game. Let's let them continue.
Said, Sarah, you're the high end, so you will get 70-30. So I said, fine, okay, let me listen. 70% goes to me and 30% goes to you. Now she looked at me and she said, no. 70% goes to me, Pearl, and 30% goes to me, Sarah Garvey. And that's when I started scratching my head. And I said, hang on a minute. So are you telling me that's a high-end contract for you? And she said, yes. And I said, so are you saying that just Pearly Things Network has other people on low-end contracts? She said, yes. I said, King Rich's and Auntie Jenny? She said, yes. I said, what's the low end? She said, it's 10 to 15%. So essentially, she could be owning 80% of the content, which is basically the monetized views on somebody's channel, and they only take home 15% of the money? She said yes. I said, Pearl, how long are these contracts for? She said 3 years. So I said, let me get this straight. You want to own me for 3 years to take 70% of my ad revenue, keep me in your studio from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening for 4 to 5 days a week, and you are not guaranteeing me any money. I said respectfully, for what reason would I work for your company? She said, because we have a great studio and we have great lighting and we have great editors that will edit your stuff down. Now, I may be a lot of things, but I'm not an idiot. I may be cool, I may be calm, I may be collected, but I'm not a fool. And essentially, the colonial mindset of Pearl has people working on her quote-unquote plantation for absolute pittance, when a year ago, I suggested to her to look into exactly what colonization was, and she acted dumb.
Guys, people...
Family, let me tell you something. Because of the way that my father and my grandfather raised me, just listening to him say that, I wouldn't have had the patience to let that conversation get that far. It would have never got that far with me. I already told you how I feel about somebody wasting my time, and then you're going to insult my intelligence on top of that? See, when she said my Africans, she meant that shit. She got them people signed to basically the equivalent of a 360 deal for 3 years. Family, do you know how much you could do in 3 years' time if you're a talented person that's good at networking and you confident in your skill set? And you're not afraid to travel, especially a person that doesn't have any children. Oh my God, 3 years and being paid her toenails, basically. That's basically what she paying them. We're going to get into something else because a lot of y'all are like, well, why don't they just quit? We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Let's let it continue.
Say that stuff about me. They say I'm sexist. They say I'm a misogynist. And, you know, I really just like to give people the benefit of the doubt when I interview them. I don't go into interviews trying to interrogate someone. I just more try to listen and see where they're coming from. In hindsight, that wasn't smart. And in hindsight, I should have had someone, you know, maybe Sarah Garvey, maybe another content creator that could have pushed back more and really was more educated on the topics that he was talking about than I was, because I certainly was not an expert in any of the stuff that he was talking about.
Now, I grew up in a time where there were brilliant R&B girl groups like TLC, and also brilliant R&B artists like Toni Braxton. They both sold millions and millions and millions of records, but they ended up broke. Why? Contracts. They were signed to contracts that did not favor them.
Let's stop right there because, see, I would be remiss if I didn't put you all up on this game. Now, I know most of you who are older here know this, but I have to make sure that I'm thorough with what I'm saying. As a business owner, the problem wasn't just signing a contract. It was signing a bad contract. Let me tell you how you do business. This is why you need to get your weight up so that you can at least have an attorney, okay, one that you know is competent and well skilled at what they do. When it comes to a contract, this is how you make people take you serious. They talk to you about the idea and, oh, they had the contract. Okay, you can do this, that. No. Like, okay, yeah, I see the contract and I hear what you're saying, but give me the contract. I'm going to read it. I'm going to take it to my attorney and they're going to read it right down to every line, make sure we understand it. And then if everything is on the up and up, we will get back to you and then we can talk about signing it. Now, if there's something in the contract that needs to be rewritten, then we'll do that. If you're not comfortable with that, fine. Not going to waste your time. You damn sure not going to waste no more of mine. Have a good day. That's how you do that. Don't you ever sign no contract without your attorney taking a look at it. You understand me? See, that's how a lot of those rappers get in trouble. And see, here's another rule of thumb. I was taught this by my grandparents. Don't you ever go into a business meeting hungry. You understand me? When I say hungry, I'm talking about to the point where you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do unless I go to, no, don't do that. Because see, those people can smell that desperation on you. I'm talking about people without souls here, okay? See, you would think that in a moral society, and that's not what we live in, so we're talking about reality. You would think in a moral society, nobody would do somebody like that. But you think about a lot of these demonic record executives that catch these young brothers and sisters coming out of poverty, knowing that they looking at this, they own the opportunity to make some of themselves. The same thing that happened to athletes too. Okay, let's be clear about that. All right. They don't look at anything about, look at them as if, okay, man, I ain't gonna do this to them. No, they're like, if I can get you, I'm gonna get you. Okay. So you make sure that you have your ducks in a row with your attorneys in these contracts before you put your name anywhere. All right. That's how you make people understand. Because see, usually when a black person here with that, they pause and give you this look like, oh my God, a Negro that actually has an attorney that's going to look over the cut. Yeah, you damn right. Don't play about no damn business. Business is business. I don't give a damn what kind of friendship we got. Business is business. Now, if you don't like that, hey, no problem. We don't have to do business. Fine. Don't ever let nobody take advantage of you like that, okay? So that's something I want you young black men and women to make sure you understand, to make sure you don't find yourself in these situations. Let's let the brother continue.
And essentially, what Pearl is trying to do is come back in with the same contracts and do the exact same thing to the manosphere and do the exact same thing to the red pill community. Why? Because Kevin Samuels left a gap. And Kevin Samuels' fan base was predominantly black men.
Let me take this time to say something else about the dearly departed brother Kevin Samuels, okay? I understand he meant a lot to a lot of people. I understand a lot of people looked up to him, even though a lot of people did not. Might be some in this chat room that feel a certain type of way about the brother. Let's not disparage him in death, okay? I want to say this to particularly the young black men who felt the loss of the brother Kevin Samuels. And I'm saying this to you respectfully. Keep whatever you got from the brother that inspired you or made you, into a better person if that's what it did. We can't tell somebody what they learned from someone. If they got something that they felt was a benefit from the brother, that's their reality. But I will say to you this in all wisdom and kindness, you cannot live in the shadow of anyone who's deceased, okay? Y'all gonna have to stop trying to live vicariously through Kevin and just following in his footsteps. You're gonna have to be your own man, okay? You have your life to live. Kevin's life was his experience. His time is done. He's done his time here on this planet. He's done what he came here to do or whatever his mission in life was. He's done that. It's your turn now. So you can take whatever inspiration you got from him, but you're going to have to move on your own, man. Y'all can't be following blindly behind no other man's footsteps. Take what you can take from someone, learn what you can learn from them. But at the end of the day, you cannot live vicariously through anybody's shadow, okay? I hope y'all take that to heart. Let's let them continue.
And Pearl has come in there and attempted to be top of the food chain. I will not be a part of this game, and I will not be a part of this colony. I have always been an independent. If people in the UK who can actually say and watch all of my content can say that I've been around before Pearl even arrived in the UK, what would I look like signing my life away, essentially, 70% of all I own, to this woman who just arrived in the UK the other day? She said to me that she's actually looking to sign more talent this year. Good for her. Good for the talent. But I hope they watch this video and I hope they realize exactly what they will be signing. And I actually hope that this video makes her think about the ways, because essentially I had been with her from the beginning and I had helped grow her channel. And if she could suggest this to me, somebody who helped her grow her channel, then you are nothing to her.
So listen, learn, brother Sarah Garvey and anybody else that's listening. You don't invest more into them folks, especially than you do yourself, okay? And my brother Sarah Garvey, I'll say this to you. Don't hope that they watch the video You know what you know. You tell them. You make sure you put other continental Africans and Caribbean people over there where you are up on game. Be like, hey, this bitch right here, listen, I work with her. I know what she about. Now, if you go over there, you can't say nobody told you what was going to happen. You're going to sign your ass up to a damn near 360 type deal contract for 3 years. You ain't going to get paid shit. And then the worst part about this is coming up. Our brother in the chat room was saying, well, she might sue him if they decide to leave. Oh, brother, it's worse than that. And I'm going to break that down when he get into that. Because, see, this is something that every black person needs to understand. But we'll get to that in just a second.
I have only given you around 30% of what I know. We haven't even touched on the very odd and weird parties that Pearl likes to invite people to. And I was invited to one last year. And she told me that her manager was coming from America and they were going to have a party. And very interestingly, they said that it was going to be board games. And I said, okay, cool. I don't mind playing Monopoly. I don't mind playing Snakes and Ladders. When I got there and I asked her about the board game, she said, no, a board game. There was a whiteboard in the living room. And what she proposed was that we all have a time on the whiteboard and we do what she says and we talk about certain things which were quite sexual and we put them on the whiteboard. But you know what I saw? I always saw her manager Kobe in the corner filming everything. And we've all spoken amongst ourselves and we've spoken about Hollywood and the things that go down. And within that party, what I saw was if people were on that board doing very sexual things and doing things while they were drunk, that stuff was being recorded.
Let's stop right there. I want y'all to listen up and let me explain something to you because I'll say this. I have seen certain things and there are certain people that know, and I'm already getting texts about this because, you know, I'll put it this way. I know exactly what goes on in some of these Hollywood spaces or what have you. I'll take it as far as that, but I am going to go into detail about this. See, family, you better understand when you're dealing with the dominant society and they invite you to a party, okay, and they've got drinks there, there's probably some drugs there or whatever. Yeah, it seems like all of y'all are having a good time. Y'all kicking it. Y'all chilling. Yeah, okay. You better understand if they're recording you, they're building what's called an uh-oh folder in the Hollywood circles. What's an uh-oh folder, as you say? Okay? Let me tell you what an uh-oh folder is. That's for if you consider trying to buck against them on something that they're mistreating you on, they'll be like, hey, oh yeah? You gonna do what? Hey, okay, cool. Remember that party that you was at, you know what I'm saying, when you were drunk and you were doing XYZ? You know we got that on video, right? So, you know, you want us to put this out here on the internet so we can embarrass you in front of your family, especially, and see, understand this. Over on the continent of Africa, they have a very traditional culture. So if they get outed for doing certain things, they come from one of those very tight-knit traditional families, especially down in the Caribbean also, that's a great shame and an embarrassment for them, okay? So you can basically hold them hostage with that. Again, it's called an uh-oh folder. Now, let's be clear. When you see some of these people over in Hollywood, see, I'm finna thread a needle for y'all you probably never thought about. When you see some black people over in Hollywood, they acting crazy, look like they doing this or that, then you see the media always coming at them. You don't know what they have on these people. You understand? I'm gonna give you a situation. Think about this. Remember when Martin Lawrence a couple of years back was running through the streets waving a gun and everything? And he was talking about they trying to kill me, Who knows what they had on that brother, man? Who knows what they still have on them? All these people wearing these dresses that look like they straight black men, you understand what I'm telling you? You better learn when you don't put your, see, look, let me tell you my rule. I don't drink around these people like that in gatherings. No, because if we're here to do business, we're doing business. I don't play that. I'm not drinking no alcohol. We're doing business. I'm not doing none of that shit. It's going to be sober, square business or ain't going to be no business, okay? Then I don't trust you to be around you like that. If I'm doing some drinking, it's going to be in the comfort of my own home, okay? I'm not a social drinker like that, out drinking it with. Nah, fuck all that. You need to be coherent in your right frame of mind when you're around them people, okay? So they set them up, and see, the bad thing about it, continental Africans in particular, y'all are too trusting, man. Y'all be thinking that you just having a good time and partying. You don't see the setup coming. You don't see it coming. So this is why I believe what the brother's saying, because I know that's how they get down over here. And she from here too? Y'all better listen when we try to tell you, but hey, let's let them continue.
Speak about it another time.
Here, I want to ask the men in here. I want to ask the men in here. Okay. Women, raise your hand if you think women like violence.
So now, you heard what the brother Sarah Garvey had to say. So what we're going to do here, I put this in here as a history lesson, and it's something that I want particularly the British brothers and sisters that are of continental African and Caribbean descent over in the UK to pay attention to. Now, as you see, the old school logo on the screen, this is a report by our good brother Philip Scott back in the day when it was the Advice Show News Network. I want y'all to listen to this report, though, because, see, I'm putting this in here so that you understand why you should not let these people take advantage of you. And with that said, we're going to let Brother Phil go into it right here, because y'all need to understand this. This is very important.
I was sent this story by one of our sisters in the UK, and she sent it through an email, and I thought this was very interesting what this sister sent to us. Now, I'm going to just read part of the email. She stated that she's been watching the videos and found them informative, and she lives in the UK, and presently our older generation, most of them 50 years old, that arrived here in the 50s and 60s as British citizens from the Caribbean after being invited here by England to rebuild the country after the Great Wars, especially World War II. He said many arrived here as children that traveled with their parents' passports. The conservative government, the equivalent of your Republicans in the USA, those people over there too, God help you, destroyed their paperwork deliberately, that figures, and now systematically deporting British citizens. I've included 2 links below. One of the citizens have died secondary to the stress he suffered, named Mr. Dexter Bristol. Another one is being denied cancer treatment due to this government's debauchery. And they said, if you could help us shed some light on this. And this is what we plan on doing. Our platform is not only highlighting things here in the U.S. and what happens to us, but also throughout the diaspora. And that's what black media is supposed to be about. So on the first video that I'm going to show you is going to be just a little history on what this sister was stating, how the brothers and sisters came from the Caribbean and how they were invited over there to come help build up their country, as she stated.
London, this lovely city.
When they contrasted the standard of living, even in wartime Britain, with what they'd known previously, many decided to return after the war and make their permanent homes here. As citizens of the Commonwealth, they were fully entitled to do this. But many found there were quite a lot of things that would take some getting used to.
The climate is something you can't really sneeze off. That's terrific. You can't begin to imagine what England is like.
Buildings were so dismal and so old. Yes, brother, England was cold.
Food, that makes an awful lot of difference too, because I mean in the West Indies things are highly seasoned and all that, whereas the English food is very, very plain, very, very mild.
All too often, the jobs they were offered were those that white workers weren't too keen on taking. Lowly paid positions, or jobs where the work was hard or heavy, or both. In some situations, they've made themselves quite indispensable. It's difficult, for instance, to see how the transport systems of London and Birmingham could now function without them.
I expected it to be much more advanced. The buildings to be higher and everything to be much quicker, faster, you know.
I found the place very disappointing, Lord. Yes, the sight was frightening.
Hello.
So now you saw that report on the Black Windrush generation, right? So now why did I include that in there? I included that in there to remind you of what I said earlier in the broadcast, that these people have never done anything by themselves. And right now, to this day, they are trying to deport the descendants of the Black Windrush generation over there, which are mostly of Caribbean descent. Okay, some are African, all right, but mostly Caribbean. They're trying to deport the descendants of the people that they owe a debt of gratitude to for building up the country after the war. So now, what does this have to do with the situation we're dealing with here tonight? It shows you that just as back then they were ungrateful when our people helped them, they're ungrateful today. Hence why I keep telling you that that colonizer mindset is passed down through generations worldwide with those people. Now do you see the correlation? Okay. Now do you see the correlation? I'm trying to show you that history matters, okay? History matters when you're dealing with these people. You have to make sure that you pay attention to how history correlates to present day, okay? So we're going to get back to Brother Phil here and let this play, because we got a couple more things we're going to break down before we wrap up.
Season our food. And, you know, the Caribbean is a warm climate. It's more closer than what we are used to as, you know, Black people. Now, so you got all the Caribbean Black people, which is Africans, to go over there and help rebuild your country because you had a labor shortage. They rebuild that country, help it get to where it's at today. And then now you want to come up and say, oh, well, they're illegal immigrants because they don't have papers. See, this is what they did. They didn't give them any kind of paperwork. And the little bit that they did have, they said the conservative government that they have, they tore it up. So now you want to kick out all the Caribbean Africans out of the country after they help you build up your stuff. You notice that they can't do nothing without Black people. Do you notice this country wouldn't be where it's at without for Black people's free labor, and Black people's free labor now in prisons? Would be, they need Black people. They have never operated without Black people. Same thing over there. They had to come and get Black people to come build their country back up because they couldn't do it themselves. They could went to European countries and asked for people to come in from European countries. They could have did that. Why they want to reach out to Black people to come over there to help them build their stuff up? I just want you to pay attention to that. So you have people today that now they consider illegal immigrants, and they're going after Black people and trying to throw them out when they help them build the country. They are British citizens. They had their kids there. They made their lives there. You brought them over there. But now it's a problem and you want to kick them out. Now I want you to watch on the next clip. You have a brother that went to visit his family in Jamaica and tried to come back, and watch what they did to him. Then also one of the brothers as a politician as over there is going in on the situation as well. Let's roll that clip.
From 2010, the government's doing everything it could to cut immigration numbers.
We would like to see net immigration in the tens of thousands rather than the hundreds of thousands.
A huge part of that was tackling illegal immigration.
This is not just about making the UK a more hostile place for illegal migrants, it is also about fairness. What this bill does is actually make it harder for people who are here illegally to be able to carry on living in the UK.
It's important for Britain, but it's got to be controlled and managed so that the system is fair.
They met with a bunch of migrants in Calais. They said they could all come to Britain.
They set up this task force to create what they called a hostile environment for anybody who didn't have exactly the right documents, forgetting, I think, that a huge number of people who are in the UK legitimately, the Windrush generation, and other Commonwealth migrants, don't have papers, and so they weren't able to prove their legitimate right to be in the country.
I had all my education in this country. I've worked in this country. I've lived in this country. I'm an Englishman. I couldn't understand why, why.
Hear rumours that, this
returnee resident thing can take up to 6 months. So he thought, I could be here for 6 months.
Between this country and the West Indies and Caribbean is inextricable. The first British ships arrived in the Caribbean in 1623, and despite slavery, despite colonization, 25,000 Caribbeans served in the First World War and Second World War alongside British troops. When my parents and their generation arrived in this country under the Nationality Act of 1948, they arrived here as British citizens. It is inhumane and cruel for so many of that Windrush generation to have suffered so long in this condition, and for the Secretary of State only to have made a statement today on this issue. Can she explain how many have been deported? She suggested earlier that she would ask the High Commissioners. It is her department that has deported them. She should know the number. Can she tell the House how many have been detained as prisoners in their own country? Can she tell the House how many have been denied health under the National Health Service? How many have denied pensions? How many have lost their job? This is a day of national shame, and it has come about because of a hostile environment policy that was begun under her Prime Minister. Let us call it as it is. If you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. And that is what has happened with this far-right rhetoric in this country. Can she apologise properly? Can she explain how quickly this team will act to ensure that the thousands of British men and women denied their rights in this country under her watch in the Home Office are satisfied?
Mr. Speaker, I share the Honourable Gentleman's admiration for the people who came here from the Caribbean and contributed so much to our society in many, many different ways, and that admiration remains in place. I am concerned that the Home Office has become too concerned with policy and strategy and sometimes lose sight of the individual.
You know, a lot of these countries outside the U.S., they try to label themselves as, oh, no, we're not as bad as the United States with racism. But yet, this is things that they like to hide. And when it comes to black media, we want to expose it all, not to sit here and talk about what happens in the U.S. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, the U.K. is not like America, but yet you're messing with black people, period. You're targeting them. You're not even letting them get cancer treatment or any of the essential services. This one brother that I read happened to him is that he had a job and he lost his job and he'd been there for years because the employer deemed him as an illegal immigrant. So he needs to lose his job and he needs to get out of the country. No different than what they try to do over here. But the thing is, we are suffering worldwide. And we need to understand that they all on one accord with that. They agree with that completely. Don't let them talk about right wing and left wing. It's white supremacy. It's all the same thing. It's just two thought processes on how to enact white supremacy. You got one that want to be extremely savage with it, and you got the other one that want to be covert with it. But it's all the same thing at the end of the day. Because even though you have this so-called right wing, notice those on the other side, they don't really say much when they're doing that either, are they? They're not screaming in the streets. They're not protesting. They're not making a scene. They just go along with it. Why? Because it don't bother them. They're good. It bothers you. And all those black people, and I say to black people all over the world, don't be going to their countries helping them build a thing. You want to come build something? Help build the Caribbean. Help build African nations. That's what we can help build. Don't go build their stuff no more for them. Stay out of their military. Stay out of anything that builds them up. Stay out of it. They don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate you. In America, you can go fight for this country and come back and still get gunned down by the police. It could happen. They don't have no respect for you. We just covered a story the other day where you had two women that's in the military and this Caucasian female is fighting them. And one of them pregnant. They have no respect. Anything when it comes to black people. So it don't matter what we do. It don't matter what conflict we get involved with them. I'm talking about in the area of fighting the wars. No matter what, they have no respect. But we need to start respecting ourselves. We need to build up nations that we have, like the Caribbean. We need to build up African nations. This is what we need to do. What's happening to them? Is it wrong? Completely wrong. And yeah, they come out, apologize. And the only reason they apologize is when they get caught or when they get exposed. That's the only time they start apologizing. But if nobody expose them or nobody talk about what they got going on, they're going to do it. And to me, this is the intent of their heart. Forget the apology. The apology is fake. This is the intent of the heart. They want the black people out. It's just that simple. But actually, black people aren't flooding over there like they're talking about. Is actually the Arabs. They're the one that's flooding the country. But I don't hear them targeting them like that. You want to target the black people to actually help you build the country. That's just amazing to me. But shout out to all the brothers and sisters in the UK. You know, keep your head up. I say fight against it because you built that country just as much as we have built this country. I don't believe all of us should just give up even America either, because how is it we going to give it up completely? And our ancestors built this country. Our ancestors built Washington, D.C. All the little places they in right now, it's because of the hands of African people completely. You wouldn't even have NASA. It wouldn't be for a black man. So we all should take a stand on that. But we also need to connect with African nations, Caribbean nations as well throughout the diaspora. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this and how, once again, black people just being targeted. It don't matter where we at. Anywhere that you have a certain group of people in charge, you're always going to have that problem.
So now, you see why I let that play in its entirety so that you could understand. And I'm going to quote one of our great grandmaster teachers. I'm not just saying it for Foundation of Black Americans. I am saying it to continental Africans. I am saying it to our Caribbean brothers and sisters. And salute to the sister Deborah R. there. I see she says she was born in the UK. Welcome over here, good sister. I'm going to quote the late, great Dr. John Henry Clark. Black people don't owe anybody anything but an ass whooping. And we got one piece of business to handle before we close this broadcast here tonight. Oh, I got to speak on this. Not going to take much time. Family, this piece of shit right here is a disgrace to the black skin that he wears. What you're looking at on your screen here is a screenshot from the lead attorney's Instagram. I did not find out about this until the brother Jason Black exposed it on his broadcast yesterday. Look at what he says. He says it's exaggerated. 400 degrees is exaggerated like slavery. Shout out to Just Pearly. Now, he's in the sauna, and he made that caption. He's got LOL up under it. Let me tell y'all something. I don't care whether you foundational Black American, Caribbean, or continental African, wherever you are in the global Black diaspora. When anyone amongst us wearing the uniform that we're in, the skin that we're in, attempts to make light of our Holocaust, they are no longer our people. This soulless, spineless, disgusting, maggot degenerate right here. Look at his eyes. You can tell he's devoid of anything that is us, those of us that have our humanity and our dignity and integrity intact. There is no way that I make light of anybody's tragedy. Damn sure not our own people. But when you wear our skin and you're able to do that to side with a white supremacist, because that's what Pearly is, I don't know you, brother. I don't know you. You're not my people. You're their people. So when we deal with them, we deal with you the same way. I'm saying this to all of you who are not of the foundational Black American lineage. You need to take the threat of coons and traitors very seriously, because it is no laughing matter. Okay? Those are my thoughts on that. I'm not going to address it any further unless this Sam Bozo does something else, because to me, he's got to learn to listen at all of his kind. And when I say his kind, I'm talking about the coons. There's never a retirement plan for any coons. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to draw the broadcast to a close. I hope everyone was able to learn something constructive from this tonight. I hope everybody keeps in mind the information exposed about how you handle false copyright claims and so on and so forth. So with that said, I'd like to encourage you to come to the Foundational Black American Expo. It's going to be held in Dallas, Texas. Going to be held on May 27, 2023. Going to be different empowerment workshops, speaker panels, and you still have time to become a food vendor, we will need food trucks out there. You can sign up at fbaexpo.com. That's fbaexpo.com. It's going to be held at the Black-owned Black Academy of Arts and Letters. Take care, everyone. Our brother Jason Black should be live now. Salute to everyone, and I will see you all in future content.